Imagine some time away by yourself or with your best friend. You go away, you wake up when you want, or when the sun wakes you up. You go to bed when you want, or when the sun goes to bed if you're tired. Come back feeling so refreshed after walks in nature, cups of tea with the sunset, books, just a super relaxing time. That is what I do every single summer. I call it my introvert retreat, and I get questions all the time about what do you do and how can I have one? So that's what we're going to talk about on today's podcast. This is the Health with Hashimoto's podcast. I'm Esther, and yes, this introvert retreat does pertain to Hashimoto's. It also pertains to just regular life. I find especially it's women who want to do this. I have not had a lot of guys, I don't think any guys, asking me how to do it. But women, they hear about my time away and I want to do that. It sounds amazing. So first of all, how would it pertain to Hashimoto's? Stress. When you are stressed, your immune system it's under a significant burden. And the more chronic the stress and the higher the stress, the more of a burden that is. And when your immune system is under that stressful burden, it doesn't work as well. It goes a little haywire and it attacks things that it shouldn't. And when your immune system starts to attack things that it shouldn't, we call that autoimmune disease. When yourself is attacking yourself. Autoimmune disease. All autoimmune diseases are diseases of the immune system. They are your body, your immune system getting confused and attacking yourself. Now, there's a lot of names for different autoimmune diseases, and they do differ slightly in some triggers, especially that genetic trigger. We all have a genetic disposition for certain things. That doesn't mean that you are going to get that thing. It just means that you have that gene. The gene still needs to turn on or off, and you can impact that. I do have an episode about nutrigenomics that's using nutrition to turn on and off genes. Episode 15 is about what if your genetic testing, your 23andMe or whatever kind of testing you get, what if that reveals that you have a risk for Hashimoto's? And I talk about things that you can do in that case. But stress impacts your overall health. Stress itself is not bad. What's bad is the chronic stress and staying in that fight and flight and freeze state. We want to shift into rest and digest as much as we can because that is where we thrive. That is where we are most healthy when we are in the rest and digest, that parasympathetic nervous system. We want to be there. And going away for a couple days, it gets me in that parasympathetic nervous system. I absolutely love it. I want you to be able to experience an introvert retreat if you want to. So let me tell you how I made it happen. I have 4 boys and we have been homeschooling from the beginning. My oldest is a senior this year, so that means I've been homeschooling for 13 years, which seems just crazy to say. And when I had multiple kids all starting homeschool, I found myself telling my husband I just needed to go away for 2 days so I could plan things. I could not think for long enough to get everything planned, to get their goals done. Every year I would I look at their strengths. And of course, your biggest strength is often your biggest weakness. So I look at their strengths and their weaknesses in multiple different areas. How are we going to work on that? What do they need to work on for academics? What curriculum are we using? How are we setting it up? What is the schedule going to be? I try to get everything done in the summer so that in the school year, it's literally just open the curriculum and go. I do not want to plan every week. I just want to open up the book and do the next thing. There are so many ways to do homeschool, and the way I do it might not be the way that you do it. The way that you do it, if you homeschool, might not be the way your friend does it. There's no right and wrong way, but I found myself wanting just a couple days away so that I could think for an extended length of time. And I was not getting that, when I had 4 tiny little boys running around. So my husband is like, why don't you go up to the cabin for a couple days? My family is very fortunate to have a cabin in the family. It is not mine. It is my uncle's. My dad actually built it for my grandma. And then yeah, it has stayed in the family. So I asked my uncle if I could go up to the cabin, and it was incredible. I mean, sitting on the lake with a cup of tea and just thinking, just sitting in silence, just being. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine? No sounds except for nature. At the time, the electricity was not working in the cabin. It is solar powered and there were some problems. So I didn't even have the electricity noise that, the low hum of a fridge or the buzz of a fan. Had no noise except for nature. And it was the best. In the afternoons or evenings, I'd go for a walk and a hike in the woods. I would sit on the porch in a rocking chair with my homeschool books and read and plan. Oh my goodness. It was just such a gift to be able to just be. As the years went on, it became an annual tradition that I would go on this introvert retreat. I started inviting my sister, who is also very much an introvert, and I had the condition that if you come with me, we are not expected to talk because the point is to be alone, to just be and just to think and get stuff done. And she totally understood that. She was on board. So if you're going to do a retreat like this, find somebody who shares the same philosophy of what you're going to do. Some of my other friends are like, I would love to do that, except not the introvert part. I want to be able to talk with my friends, but to go away, to be away from all distractions, to even have the electricity off, just to not even have that option. It is such an incredible experience. So for me, I took my sister with me because honestly, for me, it's a lot nicer. I feel safer and it's just more fun to hike through state parks and national parks with a friend instead of alone. If you're going to go on a retreat like this, I highly recommend time in nature. And one of the reasons why is because time in nature helps with your stress level. Time in nature, especially pine trees, can help different things in your body circulate. I mean, you've heard of aromatherapy, right? The essential oils and how the aromas go to a specific part of your brain and they help with different things. There are some scents that help with anxiety. There are some that help with physical things like nausea. There are some that help with your immune system. There are so many different essential oils and aromas that are useful for different things. And we know that being out in nature in the trees boosts your immune system. And there's something about cedar trees or pine trees specifically that increases how your body can fight, I believe it's respiratory illnesses. It's so fascinating what we can learn and what we can experience in nature. So get out in nature if you're going to do a retreat like this, whether you do an introvert retreat or with some friends. Time in nature is important. I would also recommend, just from my own personal experience, turning off the electricity. That might not be possible where you go. If you're going to go to a hotel, then obviously you cannot turn off the electricity. But there's something about being on the same rhythm as the sun. I remember the first year that I went and didn't have electricity, I felt like it was so late. I was reading by candlelight. The sun had been down for, it felt like forever. I was getting really tired. And I happened to look at something. I don't know if I had a watch or something. And I looked and it was only like 8:30. I was like, wait, what? How can it be only 8:30? I feel like it is 11 o'clock at night. But when your body is following the sun, we get different sleep. And sleep is another huge thing for your immune system. If you have an autoimmune problem, then you need to prioritize good sleep. Now, how you prioritize it is up to you. Some people are going to focus on quality first. Some people are going to focus on quantity first. Some people are going to focus on both. But when we are sleeping, that is when your body is healing. It's when it's restoring. It's when things are growing. It's when your brain runs a dishwasher cycle and cleans out all of the broken cells from the day, all of the proteins that are not needed. It literally runs this dishwasher cycle. It's called the lymphatic system. That's in your brain. It's like the lymphatic system of your body, but it's in your brain and it cleans things out while you are sleeping. It does not work during the day. And when you are living without electricity, I would only do it for a short time. I could not do it every day, but it is so relaxing and just a total break from what's normal. And I think that is what I love the most about this retreat. It is such a break from what is normal. I go without my kids. I go without my husband. I wouldn't mind having my husband there. He is not an introvert. We would not be sitting around reading books. He would want to be on the go, which is awesome when I'm on vacation with him, when I'm on a trip with him. If I am on my introvert retreat, I have things to do, and those things involve sitting. This last year, I read so many books. I devoured some nonfiction books, some fiction books. I was rotating throughout the day so that I wouldn't get bored. But even then, I read so much that I uttered a phrase that I don't think I've ever uttered before in my life. I told my sister, I am bored of reading, which is just crazy. I was not bored like with what I was reading. I was just like, I had just sat and my eyeballs were done. But you don't have to read if you don't want to read. My sister takes art supplies, or one year couple years, she brought her camera and she would go out in the woods and do photography. I think this year she might have had watercolors and oils or pastels. I'm really not sure. I didn't pay attention because I was doing my own thing and she was doing her own thing. We come together for meals, not doing them together, but making our own thing and then eating together. That's just how we've worked it out. If you're going to go with somebody, again, get on the same page of expectations. I was very clear with her before she came the first time. And I said, this is what I eat. This is what I do. Do you want to come? So it has worked out great. And another thing that you have to have in place before you do a retreat like this is a plan for the kids. If you have a family, you have to make sure that they are taken care of. And I do not take it for granted at all that my husband is so supportive in this. I remember during COVID, he said, are you going to go on your introvert retreat? And I didn't really expect to because, everything had been locked down. I didn't think I could get away. And he's like, no, you need to do it. This fuels you. So I would not be able to do this without my husband. But you know what? People go on trips all the time and they figure out how to have childcare. People go on business trips or whatever. So maybe there's somebody who can watch your kids or take care. Maybe you can swap with another friend. Hey, I'm going to go away for 2 days, just, middle of the week or over the weekend. And then your friend is going to do it. And then you swap kids or childcare. Whatever it is for you, this is such a time that refuels me and it helps my nervous system. It really does. So I highly recommend it if you can make it work at all for you to get away, get out in nature, reset, breathe, take long, deep, slow breaths. Just be. Every morning, I would just sit on the step with my breakfast or with a cup of tea. Just be. We are designed for rest. We are designed to work, but everything is balanced in our bodies and our minds. Everything is in balance. And so when you work hard, you have to rest hard or play hard. And for a lot of people, those are the same things. So what fuels you? How can you reset? That's really the biggest part of an introvert retreat is resetting. I hope you can make that work for you. And if you're curious about what I read on my introvert retreat, I am on Storygraph. I gave up Goodreads a couple years ago in favor of Storygraph. I just love the graphs, being able to put in how much I read each day and then seeing how many books I read and seeing all of the charts. It tells me nonfiction versus fiction. It tells me the different types, the different genres that I read, the authors, the pace. There are so many different ways that I can look at my data in Storygraph, and it just makes me so happy. So if you want to see what I read, there's a lot of nonfiction and then a lot of fiction. I was reading for my fiction some fairy tale retellings because, I already know the fairy tale and I already know that everybody's going to get a happily ever after as long as you're reading like a regular fairy tale. If you're reading classic Grimm Brothers, you might not get a happy ending. I didn't read any of those. I read the happily ever afters, and it's so fun to just sit and just lose yourself in a story. For the nonfiction books that I read, I can highly recommend the book Tiny Habits. Now, I have read Atomic Habits multiple times, and I really like that book. So I wasn't sure that I would need to read Tiny Habits. I was like, this is like the same thing, right? But somebody who is actually a habit coach, she told me that Tiny Habits is better than Atomic Habits. So I thought I'd take her at her word and read it. And I fully agree. I felt like Tiny Habits is like a step or two above Atomic Habits in how much it helped me and how it will help me help others. I have put together a program. It is text-based right now, and it is in its beta version. I am just running it with a group of, I think it's about 60 people. And when it is ready, I will launch it for my Hashimoto's community because it is, I've already heard from people that it is life-changing. These tiny habits, how I'm encouraging them just via text on their phone a couple times a week, I am helping them change their life. So go ahead and read Tiny Habits. If you want to read one book this year that could change your life, I recommend that one. I also finished a book that I have read before by Dr. Libby Weaver, and you might find it interesting as somebody with Hashimoto's. It is called Rushing Woman Syndrome, and it is talking about how women just keep going. They are always on, feeling like they're on and feeling like they need to be doing stuff and always feeling like they're behind. They're always rushing. I love how Dr. Libby looks at the person as a whole. She is a biochemist and she's a holistic health specialist. I find her stuff so helpful. She looks at every process of your body just with a different lens because of her background in biochemistry. In her book, she talks about different hormones and the impact of rushing. And over, she's telling us to slow down and breathe. And it's probably because of Dr. Libby Weaver that I remind you so often to take a deep breath from your diaphragm. That belly breathing, diaphragmatic breathing is so important because when you breathe with your diaphragm, it massages a huge nerve. It's called the vagus nerve that goes right through your diaphragm. And when that nerve is massaged, it tells your body to relax. It tells your body that you are safe. It helps you get into your rest and digest, that parasympathetic nervous system, instead of your fight and flight, which is the sympathetic nervous system. And Dr. Libby goes through that in, I believe, all of her books. But the one that I just finished is Rushing Woman's Syndrome. It is so good. So if you want to see my books, you can follow me over on Storygraph. I believe I am at estherY.rn over there, or just send me a message on Instagram or just watch my stories on Instagram. I put my month end, the wrap up every single month. And when I hit a fun number on my reading streak, I put that in there too. I would love to connect with you and find out what fuels you. Like I'm talking about this introvert retreat, but what would fuel you? What is going to help you reset, help you lower your stress, help you to come back to regular life feeling so much better, so much more you, refueled, re-energized, and ready to go. Send me a message over on Instagram, or even better, come to our community, which is the Health with Hashimoto's app. It is on the Apple App Store. It is still not in the Google Play Store, but it's available on the browser, so you can still access it from non-iPhones. Because I know there's a lot of you who don't use an iPhone and you still want access to that free community as well as the courses. I've got the first one, which is Hashimoto's Decoded 10 Questions for Your Doctor. And then step 2 is Hashimoto's Decoded the Root Causes. And then your final step is the Holistic Hashimoto's course. I hope to see you in the community and in the courses, and I will see you back here next week on the Health with Hashimoto's podcast. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. Please discuss any concerns and plans with your trusted healthcare professional. If you found this episode helpful, will you please share it with a friend? I'll see you next week on the Health with Hashimoto's podcast.